What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the 7th event hosted by OCD Acceptance. This is a platform to help patients closer to mental health professionals and advocates. And twice a month, I will host a live event just like this one, inviting mental health professionals and advocates to share their stories and insights of living with OCD. And for this episode, I'd like to welcome Kat Nicole to you. She is an advocate who was diagnosed with OCD back when she was 16 and started intensive treatment therapy for OCD. She gained passion for recovery and help others recover, and now she's helping others with her YouTube channel and blog. It is her dream to raise awareness of mental illness through public speaking and book publishing. She is currently studying psychology so she can someday help directly for those who suffers. And without overdue, let's welcome Kat Nicole.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly. Oh, oops, I didn't mean, dang. All right, my bad. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing here. All right, okay. Sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Kat. I think I just stopped screen sharing. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Kat. I have a YouTube channel called Shalom Aleichem, and today I'm going to tell you guys about my experience with OCD and what I've learned from it. So I have a presentation I'm going to show right here. If I can get this to work. I'm not very good at Google Hangouts yet. I apologize about that. Here we go. All right. So, okay. Present. Here we go. Okay, this is easier than I thought. Okay. So first I thought I'd share a little bit about me. My name is Kat. I am 19 years old and I am in college. There's not much that's very exciting about me. I'm pretty average, except when I was 16 years old, I got diagnosed with OCD. I had moderate anxiety my entire life, and I was diagnosed with depression at the age of 12, but nothing really hit me as hard as OCD did. My OCD started with harm OCD. So I would get terrifying images of me hurting other people or other people hurting me, and the other people hurting me tended to be more common. I didn't feel safe, and I was in a constant state of anxiety, desperately trying to get the thoughts to go away. My thoughts were constant, and I would do things like pinch myself or bang my head against walls or anything to make the thoughts stop, and they were almost impossible to stop. The fear wasn't as much that I would hurt others. I kind of trusted myself to know I wouldn't do that, but the fear was just the incredible guilt, like feeling like I should not be having these thoughts, which is a definitely cognitive distortion I know now. I had no idea that these thoughts were OCD. When I first started having them, I felt very isolated. I didn't know if I could tell anyone. I thought they would think I was crazy. I thought if I had anything at all, it had to be schizophrenia, something along those lines, because I had no idea that OCD was about intrusive thoughts. I got diagnosed with OCD after getting the courage to tell my therapist that I was seeing for anxiety and depression. She didn't know what was going on either, and I went into a psychiatric hospital. The hospital gave me coping skills, distraction methods, and medications, but it really wasn't enough for my OCD. The next 6 months, my OCD escalated. It morphed into religious OCD, and that's when the OCD got intertwined within my religion. And I couldn't tell the difference anymore between my OCD and my religion. It was really, really petrifying just because I didn't know what was OCD and what was God. So my OCD would tell me, like, if I did certain things or if I didn't do certain things, I would go to hell. And that was like my biggest ultimate fear. After being tossed around from inpatient to the partial program and back to inpatient, that was for the second and third time in inpatient because I had lost so much weight. And I was very worried about food and about being poisoned and about going to hell if I ate certain things. So I lost a bunch of weight. I went back inpatient. I went to the partial program, went back inpatient, and then I went to an OCD program. So at this OCD program, they taught me exposure and response prevention therapy, and honestly, that is what changed my life. The therapists there were amazing. If they had not been as amazing as they were, I do not think I would have been here. I would be here today talking to you guys. Being in the program with the other kids with OCD also inspired me a lot. It taught me that other people have OCD, other people are like me, and other people need help. So I started my YouTube channel, Shalom Aleichem, to inspire fellow OCD sufferers, to inspire them that recovery is possible. So next I want to go through some facts. Well, first I want to say that Shalom Aleichem is a Hebrew phrase meaning peace be upon you. That's why I called my channel Shalom Aleichem, because I feel that I want to bring peace unto everyone that watches. But now I'd like to go through some statistics just to show you guys just how many people need OCD advocacy. So the first statistic, I do not have a worldwide statistic for this, but in the US, 2.3% of the population suffer from OCD. Now, this is not worldwide, but I think it paints a picture at how many people really do suffer from this disorder. Now, 60% of those people have no overt compulsions. This is known as pure OCD. I also have very few overt compulsions. Most of the time, the media portrays OCD by only looking at overt compulsions. But this means a whole 60% of OCD sufferers are not being accurately represented. Allow me to represent them. Examples of covert or mental compulsions include mentally counting, praying, repeating mantras, avoiding thoughts, or distracting from thoughts. In reality, compulsions are anything you do to decrease anxiety. Yes, whether it's OCD or an attempt to neutralize a scary thought. Although 2 to 3% of the US has OCD, only 10% will seek effective treatment. The average OCD sufferer will go 6 to 9 years without seeking treatment. Of OCD cases are severe. A lot of people are suffering right now. They may not even know what they're suffering with. This means we must make a greater effort to reach people who have OCD. I am incredibly blessed to have gotten treatment within 6 months. Most people do not get treatment that quickly. Sometimes they will wait years before receiving effective treatment. I've heard around 14 to 17 years is the average. Struggling with OCD has taught me a lot about life, about OCD, about our brains, etc. So today I want to tell you what OCD taught me, what OCD therapy taught me, and what advocating for OCD taught me. If you're struggling with OCD, I hope you can be enlightened by this. You never know when your recovery will start. So, OCD taught me. The first thing OCD taught me is that thoughts mean nothing. Getting intrusive thoughts, completely opposite of my values, taught me that thoughts are just biochemical productions of our brains. Just because we think something, it does not mean it will come true. In fact, it usually doesn't. A lot of us are taught that we can control our thoughts and that our thoughts mean something about us. However, in reality, we cannot control all of our thoughts. People who say things like what I mentioned do not know the science around thoughts. In reality, we have tens of thousands of thoughts a day, and we cannot not do something without intrusive thoughts. They're called intrusive for a reason. They intrude. They are not welcomed by us. However, they come right in and make themselves at home. And how can a thought mean something about us if we didn't put it there? OCD also taught me what intrusive thoughts are, and then it taught me everyone has them. And we all have them all the time, ranging from top.
It appears that we have some internet connection issue, and oh, she's back.
Things that some of these thoughts are about positive things, but they're all just thoughts. Biochemical productions of our brains doing exactly as they're meant to do. Doubting something as intensely as doubting something as intensely as I did with OCD means that I love that thing. That's the second thing that I learned. The fact that I was so terribly desperate to know the true theology that I researched day and night proves that I love God. Meanwhile, my OCD tried to convince me of the opposite. But the very fact that my OCD thoughts bothered me so much means that I love God. This is the same with every type of OCD. If OCD is telling you that you hate something or you don't love something that you should, know that OCD is a liar. It lies. That's all it does. It will do anything to get you upset, and it will target the thing you love the most. If you have relationship OCD, for example, and you excessively doubt that you love your partner, so much that you do numerous compulsions just to prove that you do love them, that fear alone proves that you love your partner. If you have a fear that your family will get hurt based on what you do or don't do, that fear alone proves that you love your family. OCD is just a jerk who wants to get you anxious, really. It wants to give you anxiety so it can feed off that anxiety and feed off your compulsions. Sorry, okay, here we go. So, something that helped me with this belief is mindfulness. If you don't know, mindfulness is basically being present in your surroundings without judging them. So, when I notice I am anxious, I recognize it as a feeling. I say, okay, I'm feeling anxiety right now. It separates me from the emotion and allows me to more easily do productive things. Oh, okay. Likewise, being mindful about intrusive thoughts has helped me. When I get an intrusive thought, the first thing I do is recognize the thought. I think, oh, my bad. I'm sorry, guys. I skipped a bunch of stuff. Anyway, ERP taught me it's okay to face your fears. Although I had severe anxiety my whole life, it wasn't until I had severe OCD that I learned to face my fears. Facing your fears, plain and simple, is how they stop being fears. ERP taught me that when I face my fears, they will lessen. And when they do lessen, I'll be able to enjoy the things I once avoided due to my fears. One example is when my sexual obsessions first started, they were about my therapist abusing me. This is when I was in the intensive outpatient program, and I had many therapists around. Whenever I was alone with my therapist, I would get these images of him hurting me. I avoided working with him, talking with him, and being alone with him. One day, he touched me on the shoulder, and I was like, he touched me, ah! And I was like freaking out in my head. But despite this, he was my favorite therapist. I loved working with him. Once I started working on these fears, which took a long time due to the embarrassment of having them, I started being more comfortable around the therapist. Now when I see him, I appreciate him more than I did before I had these thoughts, and I have no anxiety around him. Now back to what I was saying about mindfulness. Anxiety isn't something to fear. That's my next point on this. Anxiety is just a feeling. Although negative feelings feel bad, feelings themselves are not bad. They're just a part of the human experience. So something that helped me with this is mindfulness. I've created this little slide here that kind of explains what your mind is like on anxiety and what your mind is like when you're mindful. So when I notice I am anxious, I recognize that as a feeling. I say, okay, I'm feeling anxiety right now. And then I'm able to go on to do more productive things. So likewise, being mindful about intrusive thoughts has helped me. When I get an intrusive thought, the first thing I do is recognize it as a thought. I say, okay, my brain just put this thought in my head. And I do not call it bad or good because thoughts can't be bad or good. They're just thoughts. Okay. Oh. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so, okay. Is this, okay. It appears I'm not screen sharing anymore. I'm gonna fix that. Okay. All right. Okay. You present. I'm so sorry. I'm a mess with this. Okay. So my next point is what OCD taught me about advocacy. The first thing advocacy taught me is that there are always people who want to help. When I first got diagnosed with OCD, I felt so alone. When I went into the intensive outpatient OCD program, it felt amazing to know there are other people like me. However, I didn't grasp just how much help there is out there for people with OCD. I didn't realize how hard my doctors worked to get the program up and running. I didn't realize how cutting edge their techniques were. And I knew nothing about the International OCD Foundation, which works tirelessly to help those with OCD. Advocating for a cause helps me just as much as the people who I'm advocating for. No matter the platform, knowing that I've helped someone gives me such a feeling of purpose. I get comments from people on my videos nearly every day, saying I've changed their lives or inspired them to get treatment. So many people with OCD overlook exposure and response prevention therapy, and that's why my blog focuses on ERP. Cognitive behavioral therapy changed my life with exposure and response prevention. I would not have had the passion for mental health that I do today had I not had CBT therapy. That's why I've made it my online mission to help others and let people with OCD know they are not alone. They are not monsters, and they can recover from this terrible illness. And through my efforts, I found other people who have had the same message and who give me the same hope I try to give to others. In conclusion, OCD has taught me more about the brain and about myself than I could have ever imagined, when I was first diagnosed at least. OCD is torture. There is no doubt about it. I hope that someday, through the efforts of the OCD advocates of the world will see that too. But more than that, I hope we can show people with OCD that they're not alone. So let's recap. OCD taught me that thoughts mean nothing and that OCD only attacks what you love. ERP taught me that facing your fears is the only way to get over them, and anxiety is not something to fear. Advocacy taught me there are people who want to help, even in your darkest moments. And lastly, advocacy will help me more than the people I'm trying to help. If you're struggling with mental illness, please know that there is hope. It feels like rock bottom, I know. But at rock bottom, the only place you can go is up. And that's all I have for my slides. and my presentation. That's basically it. Very much jumbled version, I apologize. But yeah. Sorry, okay. Okay, so my first question is, many people don't have an effort to start treatment. What do you want to say to them? So having motivation to start treatment is something that's, I guess it's very vital in OCD treatment because it's most of the work you're doing on your own. But one thing that has really helped me in particular is going online, and maybe I'm biased, but going online and seeing people who do have OCD who have made it through, and people who have made videos to help other people, like channels like Mark Freeman, Katie Dath have really helped me, and things like that really motivate me. Also, connecting with other people who have OCD in a support group type setting has really been helpful for me. I'm going to turn a light on here. Oh my, my light's not working. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, things like going online, seeing people who know OCD has been really helpful for me personally. And when I was in the OCD intensive outpatient program, that was one of the things that really kept all of us going. Just being around all of the other kids who knew OCD, like in and out, because they had it, and we could support each other. So finding that effort is very important, and really, I would look to the community around you. I would look to the OCD community. Try to find events you can go to. I know that can be hard, especially like with social anxiety. If you have social anxiety, that can be very difficult. But it's something that is very, I don't want to say important, but I want to say that it is effective to kickstart OCD treatment. But at the end of the day, sometimes motivation isn't the best thing. And that sounds kind of weird, right? But I kind of believe that motivation isn't always the most important thing. And what's the most important thing is that you get what you want to do done, despite how motivated you are or not. If you feel that you want to get over your OCD, you should seek out those ways to get over it. Those ways meaning exposure and response prevention therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, different therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy, therapies, workbooks, things that you can use to beat OCD. Another thing that might be helpful, like I just mentioned, workbooks and different journals that are out there that are made to inspire people with OCD to get over, to get motivated to start treatment and to get over their fears. So that's basically what I would say to people who don't have an effort to start treatment. So how do I connect to, and how can you guys connect to other OCD sufferers? Well, I would say probably the first one that comes to my mind is Twitter. There's a huge Twitter community of OCD sufferers and OCD activists out there on Twitter. And you can find those people just, I don't know if searching the OCD tag would be very helpful, but finding those people on Twitter one by one, you can find a little community because people are on Twitter advocating for OCD every day, answering questions, and they are super supportive too, I've noticed. I recently went into this Twitter community and found out about it during OCD OCD week last year, and it was like such a shock to me, but a lot of them are OCD bloggers, so it could start for you by going on an OCD blog. Some OCD blogs that I like is myocdvoice.wordpress.com. There's what else is there? Mark Freeman's website. There's I'm having a hard time thinking, but there's a lot of OCD blogs. There's a lot of my2companions.wordpress.com. There are a lot of OCD bloggers out there trying to advocate for mental illness. Another way to find people in your community is to look for a support group. Online, I usually would just, you could find an online support group just by Googling like OCD support group online. You could also find one in your area. There are OCD support groups scattered and OCD groups. A lot of them are affiliates of the IOCDF, International OCD Foundation. And finding those places can be a real key to knowing people with OCD. But I know finding people who have OCD can be few and far in between because nobody really wants to talk about it. But it's important. That's why I think it's important that we do. So I would say to find people who have OCD, go online, find those OCD communities on there, on Twitter. There are support groups on Facebook that I found. There are support groups. There are YouTube channels. Yeah. What else is there? You can also do things like, I don't know, for the most part, just look around. Stuff like that. So a lot of times I also connect with people through my YouTube channel. So I personally will find people who comment on my videos, and I can talk to those people, and those people will talk to me. And sometimes I'll start emailing with those people, kind of be pen pals with them. So like if you guys ever want to talk to someone who has OCD, you can always email me or tweet me, and I can respond to you guys. I can't promise that I'll do it right away. I'm very bad at responding to messages right away. But yeah. The final question is that with all the advocacy work we are doing, do you have hope that we will end the stigma one day? Okay, that's actually a really good question. So I think that we will end the stigma. I think that mental health stigma is going down I don't know if it's a steady pace, but I think it is going down slowly but surely. It's something that a lot of times will take like one step forward and then like 2 steps back, but I always find us taking that step forward again. I believe that one day, there's always going to be stigma. There's always going to be people who stigmatize people with mental illness or people with OCD, but I do think that it will get down to a point where we can say OCD in public and people won't be confused about what it is, and people won't think it's just a cleaning disorder. Because yeah, some people clean, some people who have OCD clean, but it's not like they love cleaning. It's a compulsion. It's something that they don't enjoy doing, but they feel that they have to do. I think that the more that we tell people this, the more stigma will be decreased. The more people understand. That's the most important thing, is that people understand. And yeah, I think ending the stigma is very important. I think it will happen someday. For the most part, it will. But I think there's always going to be a hater out there, you know? So yeah. Okay, so that's all for the event. Okay. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties as well. I do not know what's up with my computer, but thank you very much.
So that's it for this event, and I'd like to thank you all for watching, and Kat, Nicole for sharing with us. And finally, I'd like to give you a one more thing, is that we are launching a brand new Q&A section, or basically a Q&A function on our website, ocdacceptance.com. And you can find out more by going on the website, and you can ask questions as support each other. And your questions will be moderated and answered by over 16 licensed therapists all across the country. And I highly recommend, it's free and anonymous. So I highly recommend you to try it out and see for yourself. And that's it for this episode. And always follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr, and subscribe to us on YouTube channel if you haven't done that already, and give a like button if you enjoy this talk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.